Hi guys, welcome to Life Theory. Today we have guests,
Ta-da.
as you can see, which is why I'm in a swivel chair. And our topic today is, what is a PK?
It's a
Pastor's
it's a
kid,
yeah.
essentially. I mean,
Preacher's kid,
yeah.
pastor's kid, yeah, PK.
Awesome. Anyway, Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Oh,
No, wait. There's more.
I think we want to get a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
That is the definition of that acronym. But we want to talk about what is it like to be a PK. For context, who are you two?
girls.
Are you PKs or are you not? I'll have you guys give your names and
info and occupation.
I'm Grace. I am almost 20, and I'm a PK. We're both sisters.
I was gonna say that too. I'm Sara, aka Beatrice Bob, 16.
Yes.
I could list my hobbies, but it would extend the episode by 10 minutes.
Yeah. So you'll notice the people on this couch are PKs.
Special.
The man in the swivel chair is what has been described as an adopted PK.
The
But
outcast. Oh,
Something else.
another piece of context is they also have a podcast, and their
Yes.
podcast is called
Go subscribe.
The PK Pod. Yes, go subscribe.
We're going to have it linked down below.
Yep.
I won't do anything super annoying
Thank you.
like last time.
In the last video, you may have noticed him move his hand and the really cool getting the words to go with. It took me 2 hours to do that.
Hype Andrew up in the comments.
W editor. Wait, what are these drinks, by the way? You didn't tell us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
didn't talk about
So
that.
I have
Wait,
not
let
yet
us guess.
sampled.
Let's guess for
Oh,
the
dear.
year.
I'm
you
bad
really
at
try. It's not that hard.
Mango toothpaste.
No.
That's what I was
Oh
getting.
my goodness.
Tropical something.
No, it's mango. It's mango.
Mango lemonade.
Lemonade.
So yes, okay. It is another homemade lemonade, but it's peach.
You should add your
Oh,
sparkling
peach!
ice. That's exactly your flavor, and it would be like
yes,
sparkly.
but there's no.
True.
She
So
adds.
it's good the
an
way it
ounce.
is, and then I can have another drink later.
Anyway, so yeah, again, homemade drinks, delicious,
Bussin'.
as usual.
Straight out.
Our podcast isn't so lucky. We don't have homemade drinks.
That's
Yeah,
because one of
well,
you doesn't.
We
do
have
it.
a barista.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I could make.
Oh
This.
no, you absolutely could.
We know baristas. Trust.
So
So good.
let's get into the topic, because being a PK, in certain ways, of course, you're a kid, you're a child of God with Christian parents, so there is a lot of similarities, but there's also differences.
We're not like a different breed or something.
Or we're not special or anything.
We're a
like that.
different
Yeah, we're-
species of humans.
like you guys.
But low key.
I'm
We're
not
like you.
you.
People.
Hello, fellow kids. So, first one, super broad topic. We'll just kind of go down the line. What is it like being a pastor's kid?
Don't take everything. Leave them for us.
Well, I don't think I will, because
It's different.
it's different. I think it's really different between me being a pastor's kid and both of you.
Yeah.
I will-
Especially where our churches are at.
I will
Yeah, that helps
preface,
it different.
Of course, as you can tell, we're going to be basing all these answers off of like biblical perspectives, but this will absolutely be more of a opinion podcast than a specifically like what are the biblical answers. So just want to let you guys know that.
Mhm.
And play.
So being a pastor's kid, it's weird because it's not a huge amount different. Because I became a pastor's kid when I was, I had just turned 6. So that's most of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you've known.
But also we lived in, I mean, my parents still live there, my dad's still a pastor and everything, but in rural Wisconsin, there's 300 people in our village.
Your colony.
Yeah, well, it's literally the village of Pound. And so, like, that's just, we grew up in the middle of this little village. I'm the oldest of 5. I have 4 sisters, and the youngest was a year and a half old when we moved. So that was just life. And we were also, it's a small church, like our church is. And so there's also not a lot of other kids our age. And so,
Real.
yeah, you guys get that.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that, like, I don't know, not pressure, but almost pressure of other kids our age being like, oh, they're PKs, you know.
Yeah.
We didn't really have that.
Well, and I think your dad also tried to de-emphasize that as much as
Yes,
possible.
a lot. He honestly, PK was more or less a joke of like, oh yeah, we're pastor's kids, and that was about it. That's all that ever came up.
So then we're definitely different then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we had high standards, but that was just our standards of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Dad it was just like, this is what the Bible says, so this is how you should act. This is how everybody should be. So
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
And Dad, I think, was conscious of, you guys didn't choose this. Obviously, God chose it for us, and so we're all become part of the pastor's family and everything. But Mom and Dad, because God wanted them to, chose to be pastor and pastor's wife. But for us, we were little kids. We didn't really get a choice in the matter. And I think Dad, it seems like he wanted us to be able to grow up and choose God's will for us and just essentially have that freedom of choice.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of how being what being a PK is from my point of view, anyway.
I would say for us, I mean, some things are definitely similar. Some things are definitely different just because of the churches that we were in.
Yeah.
We grew up, our parents were always very involved in church, and our dad worked for a church. He was an assistant pastor.
The
So we
assistant
had-
pastor positions that he had, though, it was more like he was a pastor. though,
At times, definitely, yes. So we've had that taste of, like, being a pastor's kid before we actually were technically pastor's kids. But our dad became pastor, like 7 years ago now, I think. I don't know. So I would have been, like, 12. Yes, I would have been 12. And you would have been 9. No. Yes, 9.
Yes.
And so we definitely, like, knew what life was like before we became pastor's kids, although we had that taste of what it was like to be a pastor's kid before then. We had also just recently moved to the church that he became a pastor of, so it was like a huge adjustment in that aspect, and it was we were moving back to Wisconsin that we had been away from for a while, and to a new city. But the church that we came to, there was only basically the previous pastor and his wife and the deacon and his wife, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
So when we moved there, our family is 10 people. So that was like a majority of the congregation was just our family. And so that was like different than a lot of ways that other pastors' kids start out, because unless you're planting a church, like this church was already established, but there wasn't much left of it because of things that have happened.
Basically dying.
Yeah.
They're on the verge of
No,
extinction.
it was dead.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
So we were pretty much starting over, but it's different than a church plant because you are technically building on things that were already there.
And building on reputations that were already
Yes,
there.
because we've had a lot of people be like, "Oh, we've already been to that church,"
This
but
is
it
our
wasn't.
church.
Yeah,
Haven't
and like
seen
we've
them
never
ever.
seen them before. So that it definitely took some adjustment because we did not necessarily know what we were getting into when we did that. Because I don't know what it was, because our church is not even big at all and hadn't really been making an impact. But it seemed like the devil really just did not want our church to be there.
Yep.
Because for the first few years especially, we really had to work hard to just keep the church alive and to help people and that sort of thing. And also, the huge difference is that this is a city of, like, how many thousands of people live here?
60,000?
67,000.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot of the difference. And we're, like,
67,000.
downtown, so we get a lot of different characters and that sort of thing. So that was definitely an adjustment.
Creeps, druggies, the works.
Mhm.
And one thing that our parents did try to emphasize is that, yeah, they chose that and we did not. Although, because our church was so small, there were a lot of roles that we still had to step into and kind of fill. And we were able to choose, you know, according to the way God had gifted us. Like, I'm the church secretary because I like organizing stuff. So that really just fit in with what God gifted me with. So I would say that overall it's similar but different.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at least for, like, our specific situation, it's like there were some things that we learned very early on, like, as far as, like, I would almost say, like, intuition, where because we would get so many homeless people, we learned, like, because as a pastor's kid, you're just kind of naturally, like, maybe nobody will say this, but you're kind of naturally, like, required to talk to everybody in the church.
Yeah.
In, like, the visitors and all that. It's just kind of responsibility.
Nobody
which
ever
is fine.
tells
That's a
you
good
to
thing.
do it, but
Right.
like
But if you don't,
You
you're
feel
in
like
trouble.
you should.
It's
Yeah.
an unsaid expectation. Yeah.
So you
I've
kind of
seen
learn
that.
to, you know, stay away from people who could cause you harm.
yeah, that is true.
Tell people when to stop sitting by you.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we never had that
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
at our church,
I
and
being in a smaller area helped with that
Yeah.
some.
helped a lot. Like, there'd be random people every now and then, but usually, especially after a few years, like, usually, like, oh, hey, I know you, I've seen you around.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That would be like if our church was in, like, Rosendale.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I think it also helped that we lived, and my parents still do live, right across the parking lot from the church.
Yeah.
That
That's
made
so
a difference.
cool, though.
Whereas we live further away,
Yeah.
which we
Further.
actually kind of prefer. Just
Mhm.
because of the area that our church is in
Oh, yeah,
and
no,
the,
we'd have
people
the
knocking at the
state that the
left
church
and
is in
right.
at the time.
Yes.
So.
That would be very different.
We kind of want to, just because it's hard sometimes for our pastor's family to separate ministry and church from family and prioritize that, we kind of like having that separate, even though church is very important to us. Ministry is very important.
Yeah.
The priority of things is God, your relationship with God first, and then family, and then ministry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your ministry is always going to fail if you don't have a good family.
I was thinking of one other difference between our situations of being pastors' kids is also the pastor. Because,
I mean, yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that makes a big difference, though, because my dad is very, very, like, handyman, and very, very strong, very, I can't think of the right word, blunt,
Yeah.
forward
To the
personality.
point.
Whereas our dad, like, wrote the dictionary in another life.
Our dad is like math, computer, programming, geography stuff, and
then,
like
his dad is like mechanic,
cars.
carpenter, like
Oh, really?
the church.
Wait, did he build it?
redid the roof, their
Okay.
own roof.
Oh wow.
Would-
The
over the nursery, yeah.
no, over the nursery, but then redid your parents'
Amazing.
roof.
Oh, yeah, the church house. Yeah,
Nice. Free
it
Sailor room.
took us,
Parsonage.
like, a day,
Just it
Nice.
was like a day of work,
maybe a day and a half, something like that.
and your dad
Oh,
was
yeah, I did.
heading that all up.
Well, okay. Yeah, my sibling, my family has, in my lifetime, replaced, well, probably 10 roofs. It
Wow.
felt like a roof every year, or sometimes two. It was insane. So, like,
And he built a new He built a bathroom
mm,
with his own
the
plans
handicap
that
accessible
Wow.
that
bathroom
he
Nice.
at church. Yeah.
drew up. The plans he drew up. He like put a blueprint. He figured out what he wanted to.
Oh, yeah? Well, our dad works in the Navy.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Nice.
It's not that our dad is not afraid to learn to do those things.
No,
It's just
yeah.
he's not
Yeah.
naturally inclined that way.
Whereas your dad is not naturally inclined to the analytical and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess the best way to describe our dad as far as personality is he's formally chill.
Yes. That's a good.
So he's like the greatest guy ever, but like some people get intimidated because he's more formal because he very much I think it's because he takes his position very seriously and
Yeah, that's a good thing, though.
he always wants to be representing Christ properly, and he
Yeah.
knows that people are listening to what he says and seeing what he does. So he's very intentional about everything that he does and everything that he says.
very accurate and very specific.
Yeah.
And that can be very intimidating because then you feel like you have to match that level, and you're like,
Right.
I don't know if I know enough to even say anything.
Personally, I enjoy it, but I also am my father's daughter. So
Yes, you are. So
Yeah, me too.
that's kind of like what it's like. I would say, what are some PK specific struggles, right? So there's certain struggles that are common to
I felt the
man,
Lord speak.
and even some struggles that PKs have, other people have, but maybe ones that either are A, unique, or B, very much exaggerated or like made bigger by being a pastor's kid. I'll start with you. We'll
Oh, yeah, I forgot where to
I can go otherwise.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you're ready, so go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think one thing, at least in our situation, I don't know how it was with you, Andrew, but because we were a pastor's kid, people always naturally tended to come to us for advice.
even before
Which-
we were ever pastors' kids, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, it's just, people think that just because you're a pastor's kid that, like, you just have, and it's like, it's a good thing. Like, for me personally, I love helping people, I love giving people advice or whatever, but it's like, that can sometimes be a lot because
Yeah.
you're always hearing about, people in the church and all their struggles and stuff. It can just be a lot sometimes.
That's one that I kind of do relate
Yes,
to.
yeah.
That might be
Yeah.
why I get that.
Probably.
That's part of that, like,
That-
honorary pastor.
Yes, because when you're talking, I'm like, yes.
Because I've literally this is so weird. You guys are good. I've had 3 different mothers ask me about biblical discipline,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, why are you
That's
asking
just every day.
The first time I was like 14 years old, teaching a robotics class in a homeschool co-op, and she's like, but then his dad comes home and he really like disciplines him and gets angry at him. So I try to be soft, but like, is that like good or will that harm? I was like, I'm 14.
You know it's bad when the mothers be ranting to you at 14.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, and that's like been a constant. But I see that especially like with PKs.
Yep, for sure.
It's just kind of that natural, like...
I guess they just kind of look
like
to you
that-
as an extension of the pastor.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
even people that don't even necessarily know, like, it's just like that draw towards, like, here's a person I can open up to and go to for advice.
I think that isn't as much for me and my sisters. Mostly because, like, okay, one of my sisters is quite extroverted, but otherwise, all 5 of us are we have very introvert tendencies. And so, and we're like, I'm not sure how exactly, but all 5 of us have slight standoffish tendencies.
Slight.
And so, okay, maybe a little bit more slight. So it was very easy for people to not talk to us because they're just like, I don't want to talk to you. And we're like, that's okay, we don't want to talk to you either.
Yeah, okay, we're definitely different than that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
part of it is that, like, the right word isn't necessarily bold, but I think maybe bold. Like, you guys would be very cut and dry when answering questions, and so I feel like there might be some people that are looking for the right answers, and you guys wouldn't be as careful with how you said it.
That
So that it'd be
sounds right.
harder, because, like, you guys know, you can be giving them the truth, but then you're careful and they misconstrue something you say to try to like give themselves comfort.
Yeah.
Or they try to like twist the way they're asking the question to get an answer that they want. And those are the types of people that often come for advice.
Right.
And which makes
they're
you
already looking for a specific answer.
Yeah.
And I think with the Navises, often they're just so blunt that they just cut right through everything, and they're like, no, you're stupid. You just need to, like...
That's what my brain says. See, I'm logical and empathetic, which is a weird mix, because it's like, I totally understand, but also, just do this.
Yeah. I think all five of us have definitely grown out of that. We're definitely more to the point of better being able to not be so much like that. But yeah, that's all five of us, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
At first I thought you said like...
Yeah, same. I was like, wait.
I was like,
no, not
Superman
us
is...
No, I knew what you were talking about.
3, Captain America.
Oh, Captain America.
You are a PK.
They can't... they probably can't really see him.
No, I think they can barely
lights
Just
see
a
him.
glowing red figure in the
glaring
background.
off of it. Yeah.
In other episodes, if you're a real one.
Also, guys, look at the jeans. It like gradually goes down.
Oh!
Actually, if I was switched, that would be better. I ain't switching. Wait, actually.
Who's next?
I went first.
I think...
Oh.
Yeah, you pretty much.
It's you.
Well, I guess I
Specific
responded, but...
struggles.
Yeah, I would say that another thing. Now, I would say that pastors' kids in big churches definitely have their own struggles, of like being in the limelight and people are always watching you, comparing you, and that sort of thing. For us, it's been a little different because it's not necessarily that anybody ever says that there's certain expectations, but there kind of is because, like you said, people come to you for advice. You know that they look up to you.
And if you don't meet those, then it's like, you know.
And along with that, when there's that constant, like, people are coming to you and looking up to you, there often is not room for, like, opening up, and there's not room for sharing your own struggles. And also, when you're in that kind of mentor relationship, you don't necessarily, like, you probably shouldn't go to them for advice.
Right.
If they're really struggling with something, you're probably not going to open up to them about your struggles if you're trying to help them. And so it's that kind of balance, because most people that we've run across are those kind of, they're in the phase of their life where, or sometimes people just do this their whole lives, where they are very much taking instead of giving. And they constantly need help and need advice and need this and that and the other thing. And so it's very difficult to find people who are able to give back and able to, because you need that kind of, you need that kind of back and forth, that friendship that, like, you can both give and take and that sort of thing. So that has been hard. And also, like, just opening up in general, when you have so many people that when they don't get the right answer, they turn on you, or they you know, didn't like something you said, or whatever the case is, or they just feel like you're not giving enough and they leave. And so over time, that causes you just kind of get used to not,
which I think is why it's maybe hard for us to open up sometimes. Which is
is because you also feel like that's not your, like, position to open up to people, because usually people are opening up to me, like, what is this?
Like, what?
what is this? How do I even do that kind of thing? So I would say that's another huge struggle, and just not sometimes being able to show that you're struggling, because
you kind of learn to hide it, which
you come to church, and not that you're being fake. We're not, like, lying, but you come to church, and if you're having a bad day, other people at church are also having bad days. And so as a pastor's kid, your tendency can be to be like,
so,
well,
like,
I
why
need
do I
to...
relate to that, though?
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I need to be there for them. So sometimes it's just kind of like, well, I'm going to put my needs aside and kind of do that instead. But then you get in this pattern of doing that, and it's very difficult to not do that.
Yeah,
so I'd say that's probably the biggest.
Like the honorary pastor.
I've seen in PKs 2 patterns. that if are to like, and they can be negative or positive. Well, because one, there's a very high standard for holiness because you're so much in view of everyone, and the second is that there's a very high like priority to be, either in ministry or at least involved in the church, like a huge push for that. And so I see a lot of two stereotypes that I see a lot is self-righteousness and overextension of empathy.
Yeah.
Where sometimes, because you hold yourself to such a high standard, it sometimes turns into, why doesn't everyone else hold themselves to this standard? And I think in certain things, if it's biblical, that's a fair question. If maybe a little, maybe in some ways it's like, well, maybe we're asking too much because God's working on different people at different times.
Right.
But there's also areas where it's not even biblical, but it's just a matter of, well, it would be wise to protect your testimony to do certain things. Sorry, I keep fidgeting with this mic.
It's gonna mess up the
and
sound.
The other thing I see is overextension of empathy, which is the greatest detriment to yourself. Because the Bible is very clear about, like, iron sharpening iron. And he that hath friends must show himself friendly, as well as talking about, speaking the truth boldly and rebuking brethren. And sometimes I think as a PK it can, like you're saying, it can feel difficult, if not even impossible, to do that because you're like, what if I make them mad and then they never come back and then it's my fault? And so you have to be like, man, no, I get it. It is hard to not stay in sin. How do I say this?
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think it's just such a difficult position to be in, though, because there is that pressure in a lot of PK's homes.
And also, I would say there's our parents have always tried to protect us from certain things. Sure. But you also have a knowledge, and you're exposed very young to some very serious
dark and
heavy things. And so that can kind of tend to weigh you down, and you often know about situations, and you know things that most people don't know about people, and you've just seen a lot of things. You don't ever want
to know.
And you kind of just have to sit with that because you can't really share that with other people, usually.
Yeah. It's also hard to not have a bias on people because of that. Because, like, when you're younger and you're in that position where you hear a lot of things that are going on in people of the church's life.
Yeah.
And it just happens.
Yeah.
But not having a bias towards people, or you also don't always hear the whole story. Because, again, our parents are not trying to drag us into all this craziness, because there's a lot of craziness in every church. That's just how it goes.
I love it.
So often we don't hear the whole thing, and so then sometimes only just hear little blips of negative, and so it's hard to not create a bias off of that without realizing, oh, there's this negative, yes, okay, but they are working on it, but we don't hear that, but they are working on it. And so that definitely affects that. I feel like that's a little bit more specific to being a PK.
Yeah, that is true. And I would say, too, like, as a very empathetic person, it's difficult to, like, weigh that of, like, you know what someone's going through, most people don't know about it, and it's like, oh, man, I really empathize with that. But also, you kind of have to just go on with your life, because it's not your problem, but it also is your problem.
It must be difficult being empathetic.
Yeah, it is. But
that must be hard. Tell me what it's like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't deal with that very much.
Speaking as if I was Andrew.
Okay, I was like, hey?
Yeah, no, Silas is very
Got
empathetic.
it.
That was the whole bit. I think that is another place I relate to PKs is my extreme empathy doesn't
Oh,
allow me to just brush off people's problems when I hear about it.
it's hard.
And it almost becomes like your problem in your
make it
life,
your
but
business.
it's not. So you have to act like it's not.
Yeah.
But it also is. Like it affects.
So I
you
definitely
as much
didn't
as it
hear
is.
about what you did last week. Also,
Another hard thing that it's not necessarily more specific to PKs, especially nowadays, but with all the ministry work, we get a little less time with our parents, it feels like, because we're kind of sharing them with the church. Now thinking about that, it's like that's seeming a little bit more broad brushed with kids nowadays because both parents are working, and so that's a little bit
Or like in my situation, I did actually experience that to a good extent earlier, because my dad was a truck driver for quite a few years, and then he worked at a factory where he got up before everyone, and he wouldn't get home. There was times where he wouldn't get home till like 10 o'clock or midnight.
That's
and then
insane.
yeah, it was insane. They did not treat him well. But then my mom would then also teach lessons. And so because of that, there was a lot of times in our early childhood where we were either babysat by siblings or by family friends. And so that is a part where I can definitely relate of like, I feel like I'm not getting the relationship or the time with my family. And similarly to ministry, both of the reasons I wasn't getting time weren't reasons of like neglect or not loving us. It was reasons more or less of necessity.
Right.
but I mean, on the flip side, there's also you get to serve with your parents and your family and siblings in ministry, which is like there's no better feeling than doing that.
Our parents at first kind of struggled to balance that because, like I said, they didn't quite know what they were getting into. And our dad works a secular job as well. And so, especially at the beginning, he was working 5 days a week at a secular job, all while trying to preach 4 sermons
kids
a week and, take care of our house, take care of the yard, raise kids, counsel people. And there weren't a lot of people in the church that were serving at the time. So we also took on a lot of that. So it was just a lot of stuff that we didn't know what we were getting into. So it took us a while to kind of balance that out and get to a normal place of like, okay, we're able to balance this better now.
Yeah. And that's sometimes, especially in a small church where there's not a lot of help, is a situation you just kind of are stuck in for a little bit.
Yeah.
I know I can't remember where I heard the quote, but I've heard there's 3 types of churches. There's a taking church, a learning church, and a giving church. And it's kind of a cycle that it goes through. It starts with a taking church where there's a lot of takers and a few givers. And those givers are giving everything. And then the takers either leave the church or turn into learners, where they're like, okay, I actually want to help. I actually want to be a blessing.
Yeah.
And then the givers then have the task of teaching them to be givers.
Right.
And then after they've learned, after the Lord has worked on the hearts of all the people in the church, they become a giving church. And then the Lord's and I noticed this pattern. As soon as a church becomes a giving church, faithful people start leaving the church to go to other churches to give.
Right.
I think that happened actually in a pretty big way at Pioneer, where your dad did a very good job of teaching people to serve, and a lot of the people that weren't serving left. And
2 church splits.
Yes, 2 church splits. Yeah. And so because of that, there was a lot of givers. A lot of them being the young people that he has a heart for and prioritizes. And then the Lord started leading a a lot of the different young people, either through marriage, so getting married and going to other churches, or just through the Lord's leading of going to other places to help. And so it's an interesting cycle that I see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think for a PK to look at and to be encouraged by if you see that trend, even though like you're still in the taking phase or you're coming into the learning phase, be like, no, stay strong. Yeah. The Lord will build his church.
That's a kind of another struggle, is it can be easy to get discouraged, especially in a church like ours where it's very small, and you see your parents literally pouring, and your whole family literally pouring into the church, and growth doesn't always happen right away, and you don't always understand what God is doing in a certain area or another. And so if people leave the church, people go a way that you didn't want them to go, or they turn on you or whatever, it can tend to get discouraging if you're not focused on what is actually important.
Yeah. So I think we've also in a little bit talked about the positive things, but let's go a little deeper. Let's talk about the benefits. What are some good things about being a PK that maybe people didn't know about, or just stuff you'd like to highlight about? Because we've talked about there is a lot of struggles. Mm-hmm. There's also so many things that the Lord can use about being a PK to bless you.
For sure.
I think one of the biggest highlights that some maybe wouldn't consider a highlight is a lot of Bible. Mm-hmm. Yes. There's a lot of Bible when your dad's the pastor, and he comes and walks in and he's like, alright guys, I got a question, and asks you this random Bible question for family devotions. Next sermon, you hear that question as the entire sermon.
Yeah. Yes.
My dad likes to have me alliterate his sermons sometimes. It's fun.
So there's a lot of Bible. I think that is definitely a big blessing, a big upside that can be unappreciated, because then as a kid looking out to people that don't have a lot, and it just kind of feels like, wow, this is a lot, and do we have to be hearing this all the time? But now being grown up, being out of the house, and just looking back and be like, that was a big blessing, because one of the things, like, we end up having a lot of answers for people. That's because we have had a lot more Bible, it seems, and it's also a good encouragement to read your Bible every day, because then you have those answers. You can be one of those people that give answers.
I can say, like, as a non-PK for myself, only recently, because I did not, when I was younger, prioritize the Bible in my life. In fact, until the age of 16, I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. I wasn't saved. And so only recently have I made the Bible more of a priority. And it's crazy how many times I will, just from memory, be like, the Bible has something to say about that. Mm-hmm. I'd love to tell you.
Yes.
And
I'd love to tell you.
So, a lot of that came from memorizing the Bible. In my teen years, we had a Bible quiz that now they're a part of, which is awesome. And now I'm leading, which is scary. But I participated in that for 6 years. 6 years. And it was a huge blessing. And so, stuff like that, memorize the Bible. Don't only do it for competition. I'm actually memorizing with them this month.
What verse are you on?
Yeah.
What verse am I on? I think I'm on verse 2. I'm not going to lie.
Wait, of the chapter or of the passage?
Yeah, of the passage.
Okay, I was like, it's went on.
19.
But memorize, read the Bible every day, have a personal walk with Christ.
Yeah. Pastors' kids aren't like these like
Higher.
all-knowing, like higher,
No.
we're smarter, and like we just naturally know.
Trust, believe.
It's because we have it ingrained in us to study our Bibles, and that's something every Christian should do and can do, because we all have the same Holy Spirit and we all have the same Bible.
Yeah.
And that's a huge blessing, having that ingrained
For sure.
from a kid.
At least, like, for me, my favorite parts of being, I mean, I love being a pastor's kid, is I wouldn't choose, like, if I could go back and choose to not be pastor's kid, I wouldn't do it. I don't know about you. No. You said no? Okay.
Well, you phrased it in a way that if I said yes or no, it could mean both, so, like...
No, then no.
No.
Anyway,
Yes, no.
Or was I going like that? What did I say?
You love being a pastor kid.
Thank
your
you.
favorite thing.
Thank you. My favorite thing.
What
Do you
is
want
your
me to-
favorite thing about
What's
being
my
a pastor?
favorite thing about being a
Words.
pastor's kid?
Do you know?
I don't know what she's gonna say. I can say things if you want me to, but...
Maybe you should just start and I'll
Okay,
just
I'll just start talking. I would say...
Wait!
to go along with what you were saying, just in general, you're more equipped to handle things and like not just you have scripture ingrained in you, but you've been trained to serve in different areas. You've been brought up from a young age to serve. You know how to do things. You know how things work.
You've
You
already
know
been
why
put
we
in the
do
fire.
things. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're just generally more equipped to serve God as an adult because you've been brought up serving God. And again, that is not just for pastors' kids. That's for everybody. And if you're someone out there who is still a kid who, you know, your parents aren't serving, you can still be involved in church. If you go to church, you can still get involved with church. Anybody can serve the Lord. And
Or you can join our Adopt a PK
yes,
program.
yes.
Yeah, we'll have applications now.
Yes. And I would just say, since I'm already talking, I'm just going to say my other thing and we'll come back to you.
Go for it.
You also just learn a whole lot about life in general, and you learn a lot of lessons. A lot of times you learn them the very hard way, and like I was saying, you get exposed to things and you learn some very deep, heavy things. But those things ultimately...
I mean, they help you mature faster, too.
They help you grow and they help you mature, and I've learned so many things, so many lessons
We're still
just
learning.
from being a pastor's kid and encountering things and having to give an answer, having to deal with certain things, and also just not being able to necessarily go to people as much as other people are able to, really helps you to be able to rely on the Lord and just solidify that relationship that He's the first person that you go to with everything, and that is who you put your hope and trust in first. Because if you don't have people to fall back on, you kind of cling closer to Christ, which we should all do. We should all turn to Him first. But it kind of forces you to do that when you don't have anybody else, basically.
Basically. I thought of it.
Okay.
Okay, so coming from as somebody who's an extrovert, at least for me, one of my favorite things... Why do you keep laughing over?
Because I think I know what you're going to say.
Do you?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Okay, I'll say it.
Just say it.
Is, like we said before, we get a lot of opportunities to help people. And that's one of my favorite things to do. So it's like God has kind of given us that, position to do that.
Yeah.
And, even after, I'm out of the house, I still am going to continue to do that because I absolutely love that. And, I always want to continue to do that because I think that's the best thing is just being able to, help people.
You discover a lot of your gifts that God has given you through kind of being okay, we need someone to do this, so do this. And often it's something that you would never think that you would do or want to do or be able to do.
I must say I'm pretty good at carrying glass cups of water.
Oh, she is elite.
Yeah.
Epic.
Epic.
One thing that I never thought I would enjoy doing is public speaking, and I started a Bible study, and I was like, wait, I actually kind of like this. And I mean, I don't necessarily do a lot of live public speaking, but just any chance I get, I enjoy doing that. And
so she's gonna be
I'm more introverted, but I love doing that. So that's one thing that I kind of discovered through just being I want to serve God, and this is an area that needs, this is a need, so I'm going to do it. And I was like, oh.
Same, but I can
like
only
things.
do motivational speaking.
Yeah.
Like we were saying yesterday.
Yes.
I would just turn anything, we were talking about the stupidest thing, I'd just be like, we gotta do Just like
Well,
active.
but that's kind of the difference between teaching and preaching.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are very good.
I have the gift of teaching,
You're
so
very
like,
much a teacher. You're very much more of that preaching type.
Yeah.
yep,
Like, similar to me,
So we
I
work well
am
together.
more preaching type, whereas your dad is a teaching type.
definitely. That's why I take after him.
Definitely.
And the Lord can use either for either, but it's
Yep.
just
Oh,
yes.
where our natural strengths lie.
Mhm.
So I want to say, what would be some advice? I actually already thought I have some advice for non-PKs, but I would like your guys'
How to deal
advice
with us.
first. For what is your advice for PKs? Maybe a word of encouragement, just something for them, something to, at the end of this conversation, to kind of wrap it up, or if they don't remember anything else, what would be like that advice that's like, this is what you need to remember?
So my one of the biggest things I learned around the time I was 16 was that when you, as a pastor's kid, when you walk up and like your dad and somebody else from the church is having this big serious conversation, they're usually just going to keep talking. I don't know what it is about us, but they're just going to keep talking. You're going to be able to hear everything that they say.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, you're the pastor's kid, so you're going to be fine. The biggest piece of advice that I have learned is walk away. You're still, especially if you're still,
Before it's too late.
if you're still younger, like that. What I learned is that weighs heavy on your brain. You know,
Yeah.
it weighs heavy on you. But there's a lot of situations that you could easily know everything about it, be a complete part of it, but at the same time, everything's completely handled without you being there. There are some situations that you definitely end up being a part of, but those ones that you're not, like, walk away. It takes a burden off of you, not actually knowing everything. Like, you still want to be a support to especially your parents and all that, but not constantly knowing everything. Like, walk away, go hang out with your friends, go talk to somebody else who's not in the middle of some big, deep, heavy conversation. It just,
and
that's a big thing.
part of allowing yourself to be a kid. And not in the
especially when
fact
you're
of
younger.
being immature, but in the fact of understanding where you are, and because that's your time to grow and mature into the person God wants you to be. You don't have to be the mature adult giving all the advice in the room right away, because even if you have the knowledge to do that, like you said, it weighs really heavy on anyone, but especially on a kid when they don't have that emotional intelligence and experience to deal with that yet.
Yeah.
I will say that our church being smaller and at one time it was just our family, it becomes, not that our parents, like, they definitely try to shield us from things, but it becomes kind of a family. Like, it affects your family.
Yeah.
And often there were times like where my mom would be sick or whatever, she'd be somewhere else, and like at 12, 13, I would be basically the pastor's wife replacement. Like, if there was a lady that would come, I would pray with her, talk with her, be in the office when my dad would be counseling her or whatever, or take her to the homeless shelter, or, whatever. So it is, sometimes you don't necessarily have a choice because there's not anybody else to do it. But yeah, if you have the choice. If you have the choice, yeah, I agree. I would say the biggest advice that I could give is just don't let yourself, because sadly you see the worst sides of people when you're a pastor's kid. And that can cause you to be cynical and to think bad of people and to just not, to not look at the world the same. And the thing is, God knows everything about everything, and he still loves people, and he still cares about them. And so I would say just love people, like, never stop loving people, but don't let that affect you. Like, people are gonna hurt you. People are gonna say things to you about you. People are gonna do things to you. You know, whatever. People are gonna be rotten sometimes, but that's not where our hope is found, and that's not where we find our joy. And so, before you do anything else, before you help people, before you get involved, before you make friends, before anything, make sure that you are relying on Christ first, because that's going to be so much easier to be grounded in that and not put your hope and trust in other people. Because, like I said, you see the worst sides of people. Sometimes that's just the sad reality. Not that we're, like, better than them and people are all awful, but you just do. Sometimes you meet a lot of hurting people that sometimes hurt you. So put your trust in God, because he's not going to fail you. So I would say that would be my biggest piece of advice.
My biggest piece of advice would be to not get discouraged and don't give up, because no matter what church you're at, there's going to be times where you're like, it would just be easier to stop. It would just be easier to walk away. It would be just easier to just give up. Just give up. But I promise you, it's not. It's, in the end, it'll be worth it. The people that you help, because ultimately, like, you're in God's will, if it is God's will, what you're doing. And so don't let yourself get discouraged by what you're doing, because if you're in God's will, then he'll give you strength to do that.
No, that's huge, and I think that can be applied to everyone as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Don't be discouraged if you're in God's will, even if it doesn't seem easy or it seems like everything's going wrong. Yeah. I've been there. And the Lord is big and powerful, and his ways are not our ways. So we have to trust in him and trust his ways. My advice, I have some advice that I was just thinking about after listening to everything, the benefits, the struggles, and kind of what it all revolves around. It all revolves around ministry, right? And my advice to those who are not PKs is be involved in ministry on purpose. So they're talking about the benefits and the drawbacks of being involved in ministry. And I would say, you as a non-PK, you still need to be involved in ministry. I know for myself personally, I was as uninvolved in ministry as possible for like the first half of my life. Well, more than that. Like the first 15 years of my life, I didn't want to be in ministry. And the Lord changed my heart. And as soon as I started involving myself in ministry, I found peace. And that peace is the peace that passes all understanding, because it's the peace of being in God's will.
Yeah.
And I think often, like, you look and you go, I don't know if there's something for me to do. Or you look and you go, well, I think they can do it better. Because, like, I could see, like, when I first came here, your dad was leading singing. He does a great job at it. But I asked if he wanted me to, and that's been able to take a burden off of him. I did sound, and I'm not the most knowledgeable person in sound, but I knew enough to redo the sound system and to get stuff better, and to set up speakers and all. And so, as I would say, look through the lens that they're saying, because this is stuff they were forced to look through. They were forced to find, what are my gifts? They were forced to say, where's my limits with my emotional capacity? They're forced to say, how am I going to honor God in this situation? And as a non-PK, I was not forced into that. I had a dad that didn't push his children to ministry at all. And it's funny because they're all now faithfully serving because we all made choices. And well, he also didn't discourage ministry. Well, he was very big, as your parents are, on follow the will of God no matter what circumstance you're in. And so choose to follow God. Like, as soon as I was choosing kind of to follow God, and then I kind of like went my own way, and that didn't work out. Oh my goodness.
Does it ever?
Most miserable year of my life because I was following my own path. And then I said, all right, that's it. I'm done. I'm doing what God wants me to do. I already knew God wanted, there's basic things in the Bible he wanted me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do as much creative stuff as I can. And I'm going to go to as many, sermons and preaching things as I can. Try to get gospel. And as I did that, the Lord started speaking to me. The Lord reconfirmed his call to me for ministry. And he showed me a church. Because of my creative endeavors and because I was going to different churches, he showed me a church and he said, I want you to serve here. And that was Victory Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
And so do not wait for some reason to have to serve the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Choose to serve the Lord. Because I think the biggest, that is with pastors' kids, often the biggest downfall, is that there's a lot of pastors' kids that are forced into serving the Lord, but they never choose for themselves to serve the Lord.
Yeah.
They are serving their dad's God. They are serving their church's God.
Sure.
It's like the Bible verse talking about, I believe it was King Josiah, the very young king that was raised by a priest.
Mm-hmm.
And he told the Levites, go build the temple of your God.
Mm.
And then as soon as the priest died, the godly influence, dare I say, the pastor of that day, as soon as he was out of Josiah's life, Josiah became a wicked king.
Mm.
Right? And so that is my warning and my advice both to non-PK that are like, well, I don't really have to serve. I'm just going to coast. And to PK that are like, I am sick of serving. I'm sick of having to serve my dad and serve my church. And it's like, it's not about your dad. It's not about church. It's not about what you want to do. It's about God.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so that needs to be our motivation. That needs to be who we serve.
Yeah.
No matter what.
And I will say, once you make that choice, even as a pastor's kid, you're like, this is not just my parents' calling. This is my calling. And once you find out whatever it is that God wants you to do, no matter what it is, could be, something from a little bit behind the scenes to something huge that everyone sees. No matter what it is, once you find that and you do it, there's no greater satisfaction or joy in doing that. So even though we didn't necessarily choose to become pastors' kids, we chose the specific areas that we are serving in, and we love doing those things, and we don't regret those things at all because God called us to do those things, and we embraced his calling.
Yeah. So, embrace God's calling for your life specifically. Don't rely on your parents, whether they're pastors' kids or not, or whether they're pastors or not. And most of all, serve God for God, not for anyone else.
Yeah.
All right, so this was a long one.
What are we at? An hour?
Who are we kidding?
Well,
So
it's 2 podcasts
it's
combined.
multiplied by,
that's
it's
true.
twice the people.
It's twice the people, twice the podcast, twice the entertainment? I don't know. Thank you guys so much. First of all, thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
This was
We
so
enjoyed
fun.
it.
I really loved this conversation. Thank you guys for watching. This has been a very interesting one, very long one, but I don't think time was wasted. I think that was all that all was very good insight into just reality, the reality of what life can be like. We're gonna have their channel linked below, and we would urge all of you to look it up. It is a great podcast. Very much, it's a different format than ours, similar but different, but still chock full of godly wisdom, chock full of weird antics.
Right?
Mostly from her.
Yeah, mostly.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
You'll
The
hear that a
sound
lot.
bites.
You just spiked everybody's head.
And so, Check them out. Subscribe to our channel. Comment what was your favorite thing. What was something you got from this?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd really love to see the way, the way it impacts you, the way it affects you. And I guess that's it. Our next podcast, we're not sure yet, but it's going to be awesome.
It is.
You're going to love it.
It's going to be epic.
Epic.
Elite.
Tune
Elite. Cool beans.
Yeah, and stick around. Our 20th episode will be live. It'll be the last episode for our season 1.
Yep.
We'll have a 2-week break and then come back again.
Absolutely.
So join us then. It will most likely still be on Wednesday.
So I was going to ask you.
But we're going to probably do it like after church, so it'll be late.
Not during church?
No. We're not going to.
Just in the nursery.
Yeah. We're just up in the.
Coming to you live.
Up in the balcony.
On the bell tower.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank
Peace
you
out.
guys again for being here. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.